Okay, here we go. Part 3. We're in the middle of page, or we're close to the bottom of page 62 where it says, Jamie, let's do it now. Okay, so bottom of page 62, they were just talking about the money that could be made from this statue and the difference in cost. So close to the bottom of page 62, this is part 3. So you should not start this until you've finished part 1 and part 2. This is part 3. Okay, here we go. Jamie, let's do it now. Let's skip learning everything about everything in the museum. Let's concentrate on the statue. Can we still take class tours as we did yesterday? Claudia answered, of course. We don't have to skip learning something about everything. We just won't learn everything about everything. We'll concentrate on Michelangelo. Jamie snapped his fingers. I've got it, he exclaimed. He held up his hands for Claudia to see. What does that mean? Fingerprints, silly. If Michelangelo worked on that statue, his fingerprints would be on it. Fingerprints? Almost 500-year-old fingerprints? How would you know that they belonged to Michelangelo? He didn't have a police record. I suppose he did. As a matter of fact, I'm sure people were fingerprinted in those days, even if they did. But what if we were to find identical fingerprints on something that they knew he did? We could compare them. Claudia kept looking at the picture of the statue as she finished eating her baked beans. Jamie, she said, do you think the statue looks like anyone special? She folded her arms and gazed into the distance. No one I know looks like an angel. Think a minute. She cleared her throat and lifted her chin slightly and gazed into the distance. Don't think about the hairstyle or the clothes or anything. Just think about the face. She nudged the page of the New York Times closer under Jamie's nose and resumed her pose. Jamie looked at the picture. Nope, he said, looking up. Can't you see any resemblance? Nope. He looked at the picture again. Who do you think it looks like? Oh, I don't know, she stammered. Jamie noticed Claudia blushing. What's the matter? You getting a fever? Don't be silly. I just feel that the statue looks like someone in our family. You sure you don't have a fever? You're talking out of your head. Claudia unfolded her arms and lowered her distant gaze. I wonder who posed for it, she said half aloud. Probably some fat old lady. Then the chisel slipped, so he made some skinny angel instead. Jamie, you have as much romance in you as the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. Romance? Baloney. But I do like the mystery part. So do I, Claudia answered, but I like more than that about the angel. We going to find fingerprints then? Claudia reconsidered. Well, we might look for fingerprints. That's one way for a start. She looked at Jamie and sniffed. But I'm sure it won't work. We'll look tomorrow, even though it won't work. And she looked some more at the picture. On the second day, the crowd going up the broad staircase to see the little angel was even greater. Why do you think it's greater? Why do you think the crowd is even bigger now than it was before? Do you think it has something to do with the newspaper, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Besides, it was a cloudy day. The newspaper article had made people curious. Besides, it was a cloudy day, and museum attendance always improves in bad weather. Top of page 65. Some people who had not been to the Metropolitan Museum for years came. Some people who had never been there ever came. They got directions from maps, subways, conductors, and police. I'm surprised, Saxenberg, that seeing my name in the paper in connection with Michelangelo didn't bring even you to the museum. You would have profited more than you would have thought by that one trip. Are photo albums of your grandchildren the only pictures you look at? Are you altogether unconscious of the magic of the name of Michelangelo? I truly believe that his name has magic, even now. The best kind of magic, because it comes from true greatness. Claudia sensed it as she again stood in line. The mystery only intrigued her. The magic trapped her. Both children were annoyed when the guards plus the push of the crowd hurried them past the angel. How could they possibly look for fingerprints when they were so rushed? After this hurried visit to the statue, they decided to do their research when they had the statue and the museum to themselves. Claudia especially wanted to make herself important to the statue. She would solve its mystery, and it, in turn, would do something important to her. Though what this was, she didn't quite know. As they once again reached the back stairs, Claudia asked Jamie, with whom shall we dine today, Sir James? Jamie answered, oh, I don't know. Dear Lady Claudia, shall we find a good and proper group? Yes, let us, Sir James. Thereupon, Jamie held out his arm. Claudia rested the tips of her fingers on the tops of his hand, and they descended the stairs. They proved to be as fussy in the selection of Goldilocks. This group was too old, this group too young, this group too small. That all girls, but they found a good and proper group in the American wing, where they spent a lovely and informative hour and a half learning about the arts and crafts of the colonial days. They dined with the group, staying always at the rear of the line, always slightly apart, but Jamie and Claudia had acquired a talent for being near, but never part of the group. Some people Saxonburg never learned to do that all their lives, and some learn it all too well. Okay, I hope you stayed focused and you really enjoyed that chapter. It was a great chapter. Okay, now follow the directions that I've posted and talked about for the next step that you're doing or the next station that you're doing.